Hello, Sudanto. This is Screencast-O-Matic. It's a tool I use with a lot of my clients to show kind of a walkthrough, and it's easier than typing out a really lengthy note. So just kind of wanted to start from the top and give just a quick site assessment on Pacific Hermitage and the Sanghata sites for you. And then secondly, I'd like to maybe look at or discuss hosting both sites at the same server and show you how I do that with my sites. And then we can sort of look at what we have going on in the WordPress dashboards. So this will be less than 15 minutes. That's all I can do with the free version of the Screencast-O-Matic. Anyways, the first thing that jumped out to me that I wanted to point out to you is that the Pacific Hermitage site does not have an SSL certificate, so we're getting this not secure warning. Sanghata does. So this is something that we'll need to take care of at the server level at the hosting service, and Scott can probably help us out with that. My hosting service provides a free version that you have to renew every 4 months, which isn't really an issue. It's great because it's free. Other hosting services provide a paid version, which is normally about $40 a year. Unless you buy a multiple year package, then you can get 2 years for 70. That's what I've found in common practice anyways. So that is something we should address. Secondly, I ran an audit with Google Chrome, and so basically your performance on this site is great. It may load a little slow. We can take a couple of different steps to improve that. Compressing this content, we can extend what's called the cache on here. So right now we don't have any extension on that, but we can basically tell people if you have any of these things like jQuery already in your browser, hey, hold on to that so the next site will load as quickly. So cache compression is something we can take care of. That again is at the server level, or we can edit the htaccess file, which is sort of the first file that a browser touches when it's going to load a site, and it kind of gives instructions on what to do. Down here in best practices, I wanted to point something out though. We've got some elements that do not have, this would normally highlight, but it's not under the Screencast-O-Matic, but basically this right here, the about, contact, support. This white on this green background has an insufficient contrast, and it can be difficult for some people to read. All of these before the hover effect are the same thing, and likewise with this. And I believe that this one is also, it's this guy right here. I believe this one is also slightly below the proper contrast point. So that is something we could maybe address when we get the style guide for both sites, and maybe just darken this green a tiny bit. It's not critical, but it is an issue that's being flagged. And then under best practices, we've got a couple of things here. This is also another server level issue that we can check into when we get the sites set up there. And then this kind of a thing here, the meta description, descriptive text, these sorts of things we'll need to definitely take care of. You're being bumped down by Google for not having these items up to snuff. And then and this is on mobile, and I'm not exactly sure, I haven't found this exact element yet. And then again, the on hover isn't working because I'm under the pane of the Screencast-O-Matic, but we've got some things in here where I tap target and something else is over top of it, so it's making it difficult to use on mobile potentially. So that's another thing we can look at. I wanted to sort of address this, I guess, in mobile, but when you open the menu, it goes down off the screen. I mean, this is a gorgeous layout, um, but if the menu maybe were on top, when it opens, you'll be able to see all the content because we're missing at least the bottom line. And then we can look at this in, for example, like on a phone. So when you're on the phone, the the rest of your menu items are being cut off. We can also clean up these edges a little bit too, and maybe make this green go right to the edge and have these two sections touch. So that's just kind of a little food for thought on that. Um, and also when you land, if this arrow should maybe be up here to imply to the viewer that there is more. I understand it's simple just to scroll down, but some people might not get that. So I'm going to keep an eye on my time. That was about a third of my time here. Let's move over to the server, and I wanted to discuss some of this. So this is the Sanghata.net. So this is your server system. So this is the server for the secondary site, not the Pacific Hermitage site. This is the one I got the access to, which I just noticed that just now, that's kind of odd. But what I want to show you is for example, in my server situation, I have here's our WordPress, WP admin content includes, and then from basically HT access on down, that's all WordPress stuff. But I have another site here and a site here that live underneath, like underneath the public HTML. And here's another Ashley Owen photography. So these things live all on the same public HTML, excuse me. And that would make it easier to manage because then when we use FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, when we use FTP to the server, we can access this whole server from one FTP account. And then also whatever lives underneath this top level here, if it has the SSL certificate, everything else underneath will also have that SSL certificate. So that's kind of a secondary reason for going with having everything on one server. And I would maybe suggest to not have, not exactly sure, but not have Sanghata as like sanghata.pacifichermitage.org. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for. It seems like they should be parallel, like two columns holding up the same roof, but not necessarily with Pacific Hermitage being the roof with just one child underneath as the Sanghata. So sort of my 2 cents on that. I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're looking for in the end, but basically you could have just a secondary domain that would be right here, and that would be Sanghata if this top level were Pacific Hermitage. So that was another thing to discuss. And then over here on WordPress, the Pacific Hermitage, I noticed under themes, and this is great, you're up to date on the current version of WordPress. But we're running a child theme of 2017, which is a really popular WordPress theme. Is made by WordPress, and it has everything's up to code, no pun intended. But running a child theme is a great idea because that way, whatever customization we make to the site, when we update WordPress, WordPress core, we'll keep our edits that way. Whereas over here at Sanghata, we have basically just the one theme running, and I'm not that familiar with Avada. I don't know if it has sort of a child theme sort of built in or not, but that would be something to consider, to basically just go ahead and with the new build of Sanghata.net, go ahead and start with either 2017 or I believe I saw it somewhere. 2019 is also out now too. We could go with 2019 and then make a child theme of that. Um, if you wanted to have them both with just the same exact look and feel, we could go 2017, use that same style sheet, and do a child theme of that one, and have that working on the Sanghata site. I looked into the donor box, which seems really straightforward. I think that'd be a lot cleaner and just friendlier than using WooCommerce. I saw in here, this is a great way to do it. We have, description with, what is going on as far as where a person's donations are going to and what those donations take care of. This variable amount in here is a great idea too. Um, Ironically, this one that has HTTPS does have some issues over here, which I thought was interesting. I don't want to get into the um, audit metrics on the site that we're going to rebuild, so we're just going to skip that. Um, but yes, oh, the email address, excuse me, the email sign up list, having that on the sidebar on all the pages, I think is a great way to go. This is really good. I could picture maybe an image in here just to kind of have it stand out a little bit from these lines of text. That would be handy. And then again, kind of similarly to the mobile navigation issue that we had on the other pages, that maybe having the navigation on top when you land, just so it's obvious that there is more content on the site, and then potentially too, maybe having these, I'm in mobile, having these drop downs sort of match what's going on in the background a little better. Like the highlight is great, but maybe we could have the highlight text color change and leave the background the same. Um, it seems like this is really busy. I don't want to get too into the aesthetics and of all of that. An underline under a link is really user friendly, which is great, similar to this. Um, but yeah, so back to WordPress. Um, I noticed that both sites looks like we've been keeping up on all the plugins. This one only has one update. We've got two updates on here. That's really critical, and I'm sure you understand that. A site I was working on for a psychotherapist, I should say, yesterday, she had 16 plugins that were out of date, and one of them was Yoast SEO, and basically whenever we tried to create a new post, it would crash the post, and it was just a mess. But so I guess to recap, I think it would be great if we had one cPanel that would have everything in there. That would allow us to have one FTP access. The one SSL would sort of be the parent SSL for everything else that lived under there. Just having everything in one place would make it so much easier to work with, and I would kind of suggest to have them as two parallel sites as compared to one being the parent and the other the child. That way they can also link back and forth to each other, which is good for SEO. Um, and then also you could keep the two separate domain names, so you wouldn't have Sanghata dot Pacific Hermitage dot and have this really long URL. But I hope this was somewhat informative. I just wanted to kind of check in and share with you what I was thinking about the project. Obviously, I'm working for you, so let me know what your hopes and expectations are. I'm looking forward to that email about the group. What was that? The excuse me. The Basecamp invite. So when that shows up, I'd be glad to join in on that. And until then, have a fantastic day. Thanks so much. Bye.